Okay, so I did it. I finished this portrait. I made it all the way through the portrait drawing course provided by Vitruvian Studio. And this last phase of just getting the values and the value transitions right took me several weeks, but this video is only going to be about 4 minutes long. Now, it took so long because each session focused on a different feature, like the forehead, then the nose, then the mouth, then the cheek, then the ear, then the hair, and then finally the neck and the shirt. Each one of those features that I just listed was an hour to 45 minutes of time, and I had to spread it out over multiple days because, I work full time and I just do this in my spare time. So it took quite a while in terms of number of days and then actual hours at the board working on this. And as I was doing it, you start from the darkest points and the lightest points, and then you move into the transitions between the dark darks and the light lights. And every little application of chalk and application of graphite is very gradual and very subtle. And as you're doing it in real time, it feels like you're not making any progress or really doing anything at all when you're putting these little marks on the paper because they're so gradual and so subtle. But when you speed it up, you can see that every mark does make a difference. You start with, like here on the cheek, marking out different boundaries and then sort of shading up to those boundaries and blending and then going back and reassessing. Sometimes you're erasing a little bit and sometimes you're reapplying just to try and get these transitions right. Now, my transitions and all of this still seem a bit clumsy. Some of the darks are too dark and the lights are too light and the transitions aren't smooth enough. Sometimes I'm missing structural detail or I blurred out the structural detail when I over blended. I've heard this term over modeling. I think I did some of that. Basically, this whole portrait is full of mistakes that just jump right out at me when I look at it. But at the same time, this is way better than anything I've ever done before. And as far as a first attempt at a really realistic portrait using the Vitruvian method, I was happy with the results. I can't blame the course itself for any of the lack of success here. That's all on just me and a need for practice and maybe a lack of patience. But again, so much subtlety involved, so much patience needed, and just being willing to make those gradual little changes and adjustments, always closely observing. One of the very last steps here was kind of cleaning up all the blank spaces on the page because inevitably they got kind of smudgy after working on this for hours and hours. And then down here at the very bottom with the shadows on the neck and then trying to establish the shirt, that was kind of fun in a way because I wasn't trying to go for ultimate accuracy, but at the same time, it's less satisfying in the end when you don't have that super realistic approach on it. But I understand the focus is on the face and not on the shirt. So I thought I'd look back at my very first attempt at drawing a portrait, and then this is my second attempt after doing the drawing with the on the right side of the brain course, and I could see some improvement there, but this, I think, is another step beyond that. And here's the reference photo that I was working from, just so you can see. Obviously not an exact duplication. You wouldn't mix these two up. You definitely know which one's the real picture, but overall, I'm just pretty happy with how it turned out, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Thanks. Take care.